to Breaking Into Tech. I'm your host, Amanda Huffman. We took a break for the month of March and now it's April and we're back and really excited to be interviewing Zachary Lynch to talk about his experience with Sabio. So welcome to the show, Zach. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, how's it going? Nice to be here.
So let's start with a little about who you are, where you grew up, talk a little bit about your time in the military, and then we'll dive into how that led to you being a software developer.
Okay, sure. Yeah, my name is Zach Lynch. I grew up in Southern California all my life, born and raised in Marietta, California. And then I spent some time in the military. As soon as I was 18, I left to the military. Did about 7 years there with a couple of deployments to Afghanistan and whatnot. I was an infantryman, so nothing related to tech or any of that stuff, right? I was just out there, in the woods playing around. So I did that for quite some time and then ended up getting out and then trying to transition to the civilian world and figure out what I wanted to do, which was a very tough challenge, as it is for most people, trying to figure out what they're going to do after the military, until I found my way into tech, and here I am now.
Yeah, it really resonates with me. I got out of the military and I was like, wait, what am I going to do now? And it took me a while to find my footing and figure it all out. And so I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So how did you end up deciding? You went from infantry, which, there's not really a civilian equivalent, really. I mean, I guess you could go in law enforcement is like sort of, close. But how did you end up from that to tech?
Yeah, so there's no good transition from being infantry, all right, outside of the military besides law enforcement, and I did not want to be a police officer or law enforcement. I'm sure it's a great job, sounded fun, but I was just tired of doing that kind of physical work, and I wanted to relax, stay at home most days. So I actually pursued something in finance a little bit. I worked at a job at Wells Fargo. I ended up finding out very quickly that customer service was not my gig. Did not like the financial part of it and that stuff. So I was still struggling with that transition. But I always had this want to go into tech and figure out how to program. I had no idea that there were so many options available. I always thought, you had to go to college for those 4 years or however many years you have to go to college. I never went to college at all. So that was always a struggle too. Like, hey, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to get into this industry? Never going to college. I've never been a great student. So I had to figure that out, and ended up doing some research online and finding out that there were these programs available, such as Sabio. So I went to a couple info sessions. I went to a couple presentations for companies, and then ended up going to Sabio's and was immediately sold. I talked to one of the instructors there personally and found out the different benefits they have to offer and how Sabio operates, which was, very important when it comes to the job market and how they train you for it, and everything in between. So I was like, that's the move. And I signed up immediately that night, and then ended up getting in, which was probably the best decision I had made ever in my entire life. So that's how I ended up getting into it, was just by doing some simple research and finding out, hey, I don't need to go to college to do this stuff.
Yeah, and you said you attended other info sessions, but then when you went to Sabio, it was like, this is for me. So what were the other programs lacking that made you continue to look and to continue to do research?
Absolutely. Well, off the bat, the fact that we do here at Sabio, we do the real world experience that you get out of it, right? The real world experience is amazing. Okay, so working with an actual company and putting that on your resume, all right, is an absolute game changer. All right, so I was able to work with a real company, develop some of their programs, develop some of their software, and ended up working, as a developer in school. All right, not just coding my own little program to have on my resume later on. Actually working for a real company and working with people and making them a product. All right, set the tone for Sabio to be like the number one out there. All right, my first choice immediately. Because the other ones, all right, we would have just made some program, made some sort of little small game. They didn't share much about what they teach you during those info sessions and things like that. So Sabio was just really intricate in how they detailed, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to end up doing. And those were all amazing things to me. So I ended up signing up right away.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of veterans who have gone through the program and they love how open and honest Sabio is about like their program and like the structure and everything that the military ingrains in us. The Sabio definitely has that pull for us because we're like, okay, we have all the information, we have it in an order, and I like the part where you talk about working like with an actual company, not just a made up program, but something that a company can use afterwards, and you can learn with the stand-ups and the whole
Yeah,
rhythm of the program.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what you did in the program. So you said you got in, that was super exciting. And then what was it like to start?
It was a whirlwind of a lot going on. It was very very difficult as my first time ever coding anything at all. I had never even touched programming, never touched coding, didn't even know how to start, didn't even know where to start. So it was a lot of information very quickly, but they guided me along that process on how to do it from the very beginning to typing my first words on the page. So that was something that was super super amazing. Like that transition right there from never knowing anything at all to typing that first thing on the page and seeing it come up on the page. That was I'll never forget that feeling of being like, wow, look at this. This is how it's working. This is how it works right here. So we started that. It was very very good with intro development, learning how to create certain things, learning how to define certain items that we utilize in our programming, and then just went off from there to just stepping it up a little bit every day, right? Making it a little bit more complex every single day, making things more interactive on your page, right? Things that the user would do, things that are user generated, things like that. So it was just a very very good transition from never having coded anything, right, to then putting my first thing on the page and putting something on the page that the user can then experience with, and then it just went from there.
Yeah, and that's a good reminder to talk about, like, you don't have to have coding experience. You can start not knowing anything about coding, and they give you all the tools that you need to get started. And I loved how you described like typing it on the page and then like seeing it work, cuz I took a C++ programming class in college, and I remember that feeling of like making a program and then like putting and then everything going through the wickets and it working and how exciting it was. So I can really resonate with what that feels like.
Yeah, it's a really awesome feeling. I mean, like that changed everything for me. That first "Hello World" I put on the page was just everything for me. All right, that set it in
Yeah.
stone right there. I was like, this is what I want to do, and it just sparked a passion, and I was fully into it. Then on out.
Yeah, and I see that Gina and Jennifer in the comments are talking about how this sounds like such a great program. So if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the comments and we'll get to them. We're happy to answer any questions about Sabio. So one of the things that I didn't ask is because you're a veteran, I know there's a few different options for paying for Sabio.
Mhm.
So did you utilize like VetTech or you use your GI Bill or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I went through the VetTech program. Again, this was something that I really wanted to do, and I found out that VetTech was another program I could use to get into Sabio, which was the best thing I'd ever come across because they helped me finance the course and pay for the tuition for the course, as well as help me with my living expenses while doing this because I wasn't able to work while doing this program because it was very, very immersive, and I had to be there coding, nonstop every single day for a long time. So having that help with the rent was amazing. All right, help with all my stuff there, and then I was still able to keep my benefits for my GI Bill and post 9/11 GI Bill, like those weren't touched at all. So that was an amazing thing. Just able to do all this training, get that hand from the VA, all right, to help me out and get through it. That was amazing. So I did use the VetTech program, best program there is, hands down.
Yeah, it's a great program. If you have any time left on your GI Bill, you can use it and you don't have to use your GI Bill, which is, I mean, it's an excellent program. And another thing you talked about, like how much time it takes, it is like a really intense, but I saw that Sabio just came out with a new program that's it's still intense. I was looking at the hours, but it's a little bit longer and it's not as tense of days. You know, it's more of like a 9 to 5 type thing instead of you guys are doing like 12 hours long, really long days.
Yeah, long. They're extremely long days, but they go fast, and they're actually really fun to do. I had a great time on those long days. They go by very fast. I had a lot of good friends in support during it. Made some of the best friends of my life during that program, actually. So it's actually really fun, and it went by very fast. It goes by faster than you think. The day it comes that you're done with the program, and you're like, "Wow, that flew by!" And look at how much I know in the meantime. So it is a long program, and it is very fast. But if you do if you end up doing the longer program, right, the more self-paced or shortened hours on the program, you're still going to have that support regardless of what you do. You're going to have that instructor support. You're going to have that community support from your peers. So you're not alone the entire time. You're able to be with someone coding along and have that support from Sabio, no matter which route you take.
Yeah, and the community, that's one of the themes that has come out of the interviews is like the community that you find with your cohort and the people that you work with and the teachers and like all the support that Sabio has and the alumni that are reaching back to support you. So I mean that's something really important to talk about is the community that Sabio creates and how they help, you know. And I love how you said like it is really long and it's or long days, but it goes fast because you're doing something that if you know if you love coding, then it's like you can do it all day long, especially in the beginning when you're super excited and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nonstop. You're not going to be stopping all day. Coding is there all day long, but you're with someone, you're with your friends, and you're with your instructors doing it the entire time. And there's a lot of fun to be had there. And you just feel accomplished every time you're writing something, every time you figure something out, every time you learn something new. It's such an accomplishment, and it happens all day, every day. Where you're like, oh my god, that's how I do it. All right, I figured out how to do this. I've just learned how to do it. I know what that's mean. I know what this means now. Right. So those accomplishments take you such a long way, and it's nonstop throughout the entire course of the program because you're learning something every single day. And then you're with your peers and they're doing the same thing. And then you end up doing things together. And then doing those things together just leads to such a team building environment. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And you mentioned in the beginning, like getting to work with real companies. So, what was the project that you worked on with your cohort? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I ended up working for the city of Los Angeles. They wanted an application to help entrepreneurs and small businesses get more resources. So what we did was we built them a resource that basically they would a small businessman or entrepreneur or any business that needed some help would look up resources with us, and they would type the resource they might need, and we would return them a list of all the available resources to them, whether government or financing, funding, zoning, whatever resources available that they could get help with, we would return that to them. So it was a huge program for a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs in Los Angeles that was able to basically say, hey, I'm a business owner. I need help with legal, or I need, documents, things like that, or I need help with zoning or finance or whatever the case may be. They'd use this application to then get those resources returned to them, and that matched their criteria of what they need. So it was a really, really amazing application. Got to present it in downtown Los Angeles at the mayor's office. It was a great thing.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And you were talking about like how you get real world experience, and that's on because I stalked you before we did this interview, and that program is on your LinkedIn profile. So like you already had, you know, coding experience with a company for your LinkedIn profile for your resume before you even graduated, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that was such an amazing thing because a lot of other programs don't provide that. So what ended up being a resume of just Army experience with nothing I could translate to the outside ended up being Army experience right into real world experience as a full stack developer. All right, working on a real application for the city of Los Angeles. So that key between not having any experience and then I can't get experience because I don't have experience. That all ended right there because I got the experience with Sabio, and I ended up working for a real company with Sabio. So that was an amazing thing. My first resume bullet, City of Los Angeles, full stack developer, which changed everything for me. And that's what we do for all of our students. Every time someone comes to the course and graduates, they're working with an amazing company such as that, doing something really, really great. So they get that real world experience right there as their first resume bullet. Your experience is checked. You're good. You got it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I love hearing you guys talk about it and reading it on your LinkedIn profile and seeing like it's not just like it's a really cool program that you're working on. It's not something that sounds like rudimentary and like it's really cool. And like that you got to present it to the mayor. I mean, it just sounds like so amazing that you got to do all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about graduation. So you're getting closer to graduating, and at a certain point, they start to tell you it's time to start sending out resumes. So how did the transition out of the program to graduating and getting a career go?
Sure. I got done in December of 2019 and ended up just sending out resumes, like an insane amount of resumes, until I ended up getting my first job. At first, it became very difficult for me, but this is a great thing for me to talk about because it was very tough because COVID had hit only a couple months later, and it was the first peak of COVID right there. So what I thought was like, hey, this is going to be very tough for me. But it turns out everywhere needs software developers so bad. It's such a mandatory thing in the industry, and everyone needs them that I ended up getting a job in the middle of COVID, which was such an amazing thing. And I went on to work for this mortgage marketing company, building them a CRM. And this was in the middle of COVID. So if I could get my job in the middle of such a crisis, because software engineering is in such demand, anyone can get a job anywhere. I mean, it was great. So that was my first job. I ended up working there for quite some time. I built them their own CRM to help them with their clients and mortgage officers and things like that, and then ended up going from there.
Yeah, I mean, when you said we graduated in December of 2019, I was like, "Well, I know what comes after that."
Yeah, no, it was tough, and I was like, wow, what am I going to do now? Am I going to be able to get a job now? Is this going to work out? And sure enough, that the industry is in such demand that it wasn't a problem at all. And I got a call from a recruiter asking for a developer with this amount of experience and whatnot. And I ended up taking that interview and proving to that team that, hey, I was capable of doing what they needed to do. They liked me a lot, so they ended up getting the job within a week. They gave me an offer.
Yeah, and you said you worked with them for some time, but you're not working for them anymore. So how did you end up switching into the role you're in today?
Absolutely. So, I always stayed a part of the Sabio community, even during my next job, because the community is a great thing. I've got a lot of friends there, and I was always helping people out anywhere I could because I got to see what life-changing experience you can get from Sabio, especially as a veteran, right? As a veteran, I was like, this thing changed everything for me, and Sabio was just there to support it the entire way through. So I want to see other veterans take that same route. People like me who might have been in infantry, who have no tech experience, to go and make an entire life-changing decision like that and it work out for them. I want to see that happen with everyone else. So I ended up getting a phone call from Liliana to come over here and help with our veteran community and help teach. So here I am. It was just the best decision I ever made. And I love seeing veterans come through and do it. Every time we do, product demonstration and I get to see veterans on there talking about their amazing experience and what they're doing now. It's just the greatest feeling.
Yeah, and speaking of Liliana, she mentioned in the comments to talk about the small projects you worked on before your job.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the middle of transitioning between graduating and getting that job during COVID, I wanted to stay active, stay programming, stay making things. So what I did was I opened my own small LLC and ended up taking on small clients, building their applications, building them websites for them to market their product to the public. So I ended up doing I think like about 5 or 6 different applications for people. Just continuing to work on my resume and hone in my skills as much as I could. Keep myself coding, keep myself interactive, and try to provide something that's good for business owners and things like that. So that's what I did until I got that call from a recruiter, and then shortly after that, got that call for that offer.
Yeah. I've heard that like you're coding, doing the class, and then you have like this lull between, and you have to keep coding because it's a skill that you learn, and but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I love that you found a way to, start to bring in an income and use those skills that you had learned, and it's in demand. Like that's another area that people need help. Like business owners, small business owners need help with creating websites, creating programs. There's so much, and yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would find these small business owners that had maybe had a website that wasn't super nice, or maybe didn't have a website at all, but they had a good product and they were actively marketing their stuff. So I would just offer, hey, I'd be willing to do this for you. And the agreement is, hey, yeah, there's financial outcome from that, but also like I get to continue myself coding. I could continue honing in my skills, right? Continue coding, stay busy, stay active, keep myself in the game, because that's an important thing to do. Right? You always have to be learning, always have to be coding, always have to be on top of it. So I just stayed doing whatever I could to keep myself relevant and keep myself marketable to employers until I got that position.
Yeah. Yeah. I as a small business owner, the fact that I know a little background in coding really helps me with like my website, because my friend was like, "How can you read this?" I was like, "I don't know. It's easy. Once you know it, it's."
Yeah,
But
no, it was
I
really great.
still
I get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about like the work you're doing with Sabio now. You're helping veterans, and it sounds like you love what you're doing. So, just talk a little bit more about, is there anything
Sure.
we missed from that?
Sure. So what I do now here at Sabio is I'm the lead instructor for the pre-work. So the phase 1 of what we do, I teach people, right, their first intro to coding, basically. All right. So people having never coded before, I'm the first one they interact with. I give them lectures every day, and basically what I'm doing is I'm showing them how to define new things in code, right? How to create variables and how to create HTML elements and how to write functions in JavaScript, and everything associated with web development, getting them started in their coding journey. Everyone has to start somewhere, so it's really good to have Sabio behind you. Making sure that you have the training that you need, giving them multiple lectures a day, making sure that they understand the material, understand what they're doing, talking to them one on one. So basically, what I do now is I'm with them for 4 weeks straight, doing these lectures and talking with them, making sure that they're not alone. They know what they're doing. If they have any issues, they can come right to me, come right to the other staff, and get help with whatever they need.
Yeah. Sounds like they're lucky to have you. You're like a great resource, and you care so much about helping people. That's something veterans seem to have a trait to do. They want to give back. They want to help others. So it sounds
I
like
just
you're
want to
in
see
a
people. Yeah, I just want to see people do what I did, and I want to see people come through the course and just have a life changing experience where the worries that they had prior to this course, they don't have those worries anymore. Veterans or not, anyone at all, just come into the course and get that experience, and then you see their life change like times 25. It's crazy. So seeing that, no matter who you are, veteran or not, is an amazing thing, and that's why I like doing what I do, because I get to see that outcome and see that we change lives here.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're talking a lot about veterans. That isn't a requirement. You don't
Yeah,
have
no,
to have military background. That's
no.
there's just opportunities for veterans to help get, paid for, and it's just something that is a part of who you are if you serve. It comes out in conversation, especially when you're talking to other veterans. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you have any interview tips for, graduates, or for people who are at the end, or if you're, maybe you've got a job but you're looking for a new job? What interview tips do you have for people?
Yeah, with confidence. All right, come in with confidence. You are capable of more than you think you are, and I tell this to my students all the time. I tell them, look at what they know today compared to what they knew 4 weeks ago. All right, it's an incredible amount of stuff that you know, and then over the course of 3 or 4 months, it's an even more incredible amount of what you know. All right. So go into the interview with confidence. You are capable of doing whatever you put your mind to. You're capable of taking on this role. And you just need to show them that, hey, I'm the person for the job and I will be here and work hard to do it. So anyone interviewing right now or at the end of their at the end of their training, or maybe even just transitioning jobs, you are capable and you are more capable than you think. All right. Just go in there with confidence and show that interviewer or whoever you might be talking with that, hey, I'm ready for this. And even if I don't know the answer to your question right then and there, I'm going to go figure it out and I'm going to bring it back to you. I'm going to bring it back to you with these 3 options now. I'm going to show you different ways I figured it out now. All right. So you're just going with confidence. Be confident with whatever you do. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I love that. Don't let imposter syndrome get you. Like, have those words of affirmation, remember what you know, and be confident in yourself. That's
Yeah,
great
that's a
advice.
huge one. That imposter syndrome, because I had that quite a bit coming out, and I was like, wow, am I really going to be ready for this? And then sure enough, I get on an interview and I did really well. And the questions they asked me, I knew how to answer. And I was just confident in doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sabio, I mean, they help you with, the tools to know what to say for the interviews and to be prepared so that you can go in with that confidence. So, rely on what you know and realize that you are ready. And the fact that you're nervous, that's a good thing. Use that energy, like I think
Yeah,
sometimes my son, he'll be like, "But I'm afraid." I'm like, that doesn't mean you can't do it. That's just do it
absolutely. Everyone's going to be
fear.
nervous. They
Yeah.
expect you to be nervous. So how are you going to handle those nerves? Like, what are you going to do with those nerves when the time comes? Right? Everyone's going to be nervous. Just do your best and be confident. And no matter what, you know more than you think you do. And that's the biggest takeaway. You have to remember that in the back of your head. I know more than I think I do, which is a tough thing to do, which is, that imposter syndrome right there, but you can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you could give someone advice, if someone's listening right now and they're like, I don't know if I should take the leap and, go into coding, what advice would you give to them?
Get started. Just take the leap. You can start on so many different free things that we have here at Sabio alone. We have so many free things that don't require much time commitment, that don't require you to give up what you have now. We have plenty of free coding courses that you can utilize to learn HTML, to learn JavaScript, things like that, to get started and just determine, hey, it's that little nudge right there that you need to actually push yourself into getting started and taking that leap. So there are things that we offer here at Sabio to get started without making that huge commitment. But regardless, get started, because there's so much to learn. You're going to learn so much over the course of the time that you can just get started whenever you want to. And having that little early start right there of just learning how to define a variable or learning how to create an HTML element, that'll put you in a good position when you actually make that leap. You'll actually be a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and you can go to Sabio's website and look for those resources, and I'll add those into the comments and show notes after the interview's over, because I think it's so important to, I love that you have a free and not huge commitment to like dip your toe in it and see like, is this coding thing? Because I can feel really overwhelming, especially if you've never coded. Like, do I like this? Do I want to do it? But if you can try it out and see before you invest your time and your money, then that's a really great option. So I love
Yeah,
hearing about
absolutely.
that.
Just starting to get your hands on the keyboard and get typing something at all. That might be all you need. That first "Hello World" that I put on the page changed my entire perspective on it, and I was like, I'm in it. I'm sold. So that could be the same thing for you. Is just putting that first thing on the page right there, that first piece of text that you put on the page, might be enough to be like, wow, that's an incredible feeling. Even though it's so small, I just made a change that people are going to interact with, that everyone can interact with and see. So that might be all you need right there to just be like, I'm sold. I'm in it. I want to be a developer, and I'm going to be a developer.
Yeah, and you tried your hand at, entrepreneurship right from the get-go of getting out. Do you ever see yourself starting a business of your own in like 2 to 5 years?
I'm not sure. Not specifically right now, no. But you never know what's going to happen. I wouldn't. I love what I do here at Sabio, and I love seeing these veterans coming through. So I'm going to be here for quite some time, I think. So I'm not sure about starting my own business, but I do now have the tools to do whatever I need to do thanks to Sabio. Right? I know how to create websites. I know how to use do front end web development. It makes something look good for the user. So regardless, I do have the tools provided here from Sabio to basically go and do whatever I want to, whether it be an entrepreneur or whether it be, a software engineer with Sabio, things like that.
Yeah, so you have the tools, and I love that you're like, who knows what the future will bring? Because I mean, you don't really know what's gonna come or, what opportunity could come. So I love having that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Liliana said that there are live free workshops happening in May. So I'll find those and link to those as well.
Yeah. So I see another comment in there. It says, talk about friendships formed during the program. The Sabio community was just absolutely amazing. I mean, I made great friends. I made such good friends that I ended up being a part of my buddy's wedding, and we met at Sabio. I was in his wedding together. So yeah, you make amazing friends that are lifelong friends because you're struggling with these people side by side every day. You're learning with these people side by side every day. Kind of like how you do in the military. You create such a bond of a shared experience, and that shared experience is an amazing thing. So I ended up coming out with some really good friends and people that I trust, with my life at this point. Um, so the Sabio community is just absolutely amazing. When I'm in the office, I get to go around and see the students working together, and that's such a great thing to do because you need that community. And Sabio has just such a community both during and after, where you never feel alone in your journey, in your coding journey. Our community is just amazing. We're always doing workshops, always doing meetups, things like that. So it's a really amazing thing to see.
Yeah, and I am not a graduate, and I feel like I'm on the fringe, but I feel like so connected to the community because Liliana has welcomed me in and given me, the opportunity to talk to the graduates and hear about the amazing work that they're doing. So I can attest to the community, and I love being part of like, the page is always hopping with information, like different workshops and resources and people asking questions. So there's so much information out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the people who aren't, actively in training, they're just doing the self-paced stuff that we are talking about earlier, those free coding courses. I mean, I build relationships with them as well because I'm talking to them. They're not even a part of the program fully immersed yet. They're just doing their own self-paced stuff, but they still have access to me, and I can still talk to them, still help them with their codes, still joke around with them and make a small relationship with them. By the time they come into the course, they feel comfortable. So Sabio community is just the best one out there, hands down.
Yeah, so if you're listening today and you want to learn more, I know that there are info sessions all the time, so you can go to Sabio's website and find them and learn more. And if you have any questions for us, just put them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was very fun. Hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you so much.